Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to another Both Sides podcast. It's been a minute, but we're kickstarting the year off with a bang. Matt, Pcel, welcome.
Thanks, fellas. It's good to be here.
Mate, I'm super excited because I've been an advocate and a follower of yours for a while now. Mate, the first place I want to start is we're in the real estate industry and there's a lot of us that are having a crack making content. Some of us on the spectrum of ego versus authenticity on that path. From your perspective, having done marketing and branding on so many different angles with different industries, what would be your first piece of advice for anyone listening?
Well, let's just start off with, if you're a real estate agent, most people think you're a wanker. It's true.
It's so true.
Who else has the balls to put their head on a bus stop?
Honestly.
A billboard with their teeth showing. Well, let's be serious. Like, not even maybe every time an election's on, you see someone with a billboard or bus stop like that.
Are my teeth out on the billboards and bus stops? No. My teeth aren't out.
I'm just taking the piss, but but I will say this about any industry, not just real estate industry, but it's cars, it's accounting. Everyone has a cliche playbook they basically walk into.
So I'm wrong. I shouldn't do that.
Not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm saying, does it fit you? And it doesn't necessarily mean you should go that direction because that's where the crowd is. So naturally, as humans, we want to go where what is voted as safe. It's more safety than it is to stand out. And with real estate agents, I always laugh. I don't know why I get invited to real estate conferences to speak. I was in Gold Coast recently speaking to hundreds of real estate agents and I just ripped the shit out of their marketing for about an hour. And the reason is because most of the time you see a video, we've all seen as real estate people, an agent, he's got a 30-second video and 29 seconds of that 30-second video is about their hair gel and their watch.
Yeah, it's true.
Is it true? So even that, the whole point that's missing in the real estate agency marketing playbook is they make themselves the hero of their own story, which makes them look like a wanker. And versus using classiness and using your personality that's unique to you in front to serve people rather than to be drawing attention to yourself because you have insecurity and things like that. I just think it's not the agent's fault necessarily. I think it's just the playbook your industry has that people just don't want to venture too far away from.
Do you mind me asking then? So I've got a few bus stops and identalites that just have my face, like a profile picture of myself, says Kevin Buchanan, #1 real estate agent in that suburb, and my number. Now, the reason I do it, and I think the reason a lot of real estate agents do it, yeah, of course, because everyone else does it, but the concept is brand recognition, brand awareness, and just seeing over and over and over again to the point where they go, okay, well, who are we going to sell with? Well, the guy that we pass every single day. Is that a good enough reason, or would you change?
I don't know. Maybe ask your clientele who bought from you or worked with you. Was it a bus stop or was it the facial recognition from those things that made you remember me, the bus stops and stuff? I think we have an opportunity to really change the creative up. So with digital, with social media, organic posts and paid, we have a chance to A/B test so much. And you could even look at what the best voted posts are and put that on a freaking bus stop. Think about, like, people just are one-dimensional about so much of their marketing. So I'm thinking,
note, by the way.
taking notes. I think if anyone's shopping for something, they're in the hunt for a deal, you want to be able to have it condensed and compartmentalized, really packaged clearly on a billboard or on a post. For example, if I put $7,500 behind a post this week over 5 days, I can guarantee you 500,000 to 1 million people will see it. That's just like a ballpark of regional reach. But if you had two posts next to each other, one just says, let me sell your home, versus let me sell I got 10 properties that are 600,000 and under in Newcastle, which one will be more clearer? This one, right? So I haven't seen real estate agents package up their portfolio very well to say, hey, here's 6 reno-ready houses that's under 600,000. Like, there's just not a lot of effort that's a bit risky for some reason, right? But that's almost like going shopping in a catalog saying, this is for swimwear, for this size, and this is what we do it for so many things. We make it easy for the customer to find and scan.
And real estate's the hardest thing ever.
It is. So I guess broad and specific. Sometimes you start broad to get more specific, but that's where we'll dig into, I guess, today. What is the main 3 laneways of who you're serving? Like, are you the local agent for Newcastle for first home buyers? And if it's for first home buyers, you need to have messaging just for that on a separate landing page just for that too. It's almost like the creative and the messaging has to be so dialed in to the individual people you're trying to reach rather than this broad thing of, we'll sell your home with the number 1 agent. Everyone can say that, man.
Yep.
So if we were to peel it back from the start, let's say you're trying to design the optimal blueprint for somebody's personal brand and business marketing to be an attraction agent where you can generate business but also authentically serve your greater community. What would be your first place to start and framework would follow?
I think I have to think of the man, the mission, and the message. So it's the 3 M's. The man or the messenger is looking at your own history, your own proof, and your own framework. So it's a lot of inner work. It's pretty much therapy. Because if you don't have that, then what else? What other materials are you using to build content? ChatGPT, generic, copy and paste stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So people are shit historians. They don't have a framework they use to be able to, they either look at their history and think, I'm vanilla, I don't know anything, or they don't know how to speak about or package themselves up. So I'd start with, let's work with you guys, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter about age. It really doesn't matter. It matters about, and this indicates whether you need to acquire more proof. But let's just pick the most successful deals you've ever had. And are they the customers you want more of? Is that true? So what's the criteria for the best deals you've had and you want 10 more
So
of?
for me, I love an investor that's ready to go, that makes a decision quick, that when I present them a few opportunities, they're prepared to jump quickly.
Okay. Are they white collar or blue collar usually?
They're usually entrepreneurs or self-employed or high-income earners.
Okay, that's great. So they're usually
They
business
could be
owners.
either or, yeah.
They're not PAYG?
Yeah, typically not.
Okay, so
They're
this is good.
Yeah.
So you see already we've gone away from the broad to, I've got messaging for, you're a business owner, you've got equity in your home, you've got profit in your business, right? Why aren't we dialing in more on messaging and creative around that and putting ad creative with that? So you'd like 100 of those people, right?
Yeah, essentially.
But people, those simple questions help inspire creative and messaging and strategy to reach those people. Why isn't that more on a billboard if we're talking about billboards and bus stops and where these business owners will be at? So that's the first part of the man is what is the messenger? Who am I serving? And what do I have in my own backstory on the proof I have working with these people? So to your point, you've had some great deals with business owners and all that, and they're ready to go. What are their main? How have you most been useful to them? Because they're smart people, they're hard working hard, yeah.
A lot of them are time poor and need a professional to execute for them. Number one. Number two, they need access to properties that they wouldn't otherwise get access to.
Great.
And then somebody there to negotiate the best outcome.
Yeah, right. And what areas are they? We're talking cities or towns?
A lot of them have the capacity to spend blue chip or to buy in areas where they're close to metropolitan cities, or if it's regional like Newcastle. But they have the capacity to spend $1 million on average plus.
Yeah, see, this is great. So we're actually setting up a customer profile right now. That's what we're doing right now. And that helps me go, okay, I'm creating content and messaging around that. And it helps me go, where do these people read? What did they read? What did they watch? Where do they go, right? And so then you got to look at who are the 1 or 2 or 3 case studies you've had that you can actually prove and demonstrate how you took them from lost to found, right?
Yeah.
Because they chose you over the other buyer's agents. They chose you to sell or to buy, right? So what was it? And this is the question I ask a lot of business owners to ask their own customers. What was the tipping point? Why did you choose me over someone else? What piece of content did you see of me that made you remember me to reach out? And when you ask those questions, either in form or one-to-one, it informs that I did this and 4 celebrities reached out because of one piece of content. And it was by asking a certain celebrity, these people, what thing tipped you over. It was always this one carousel. It's very interesting. So that becomes the winning horse to be able to put ads on as well. So if you could quickly, I'm almost like taking over the podcast, but like,
no, it's perfect. This is what
but like, if you could talk me through, like this will help everyone to demonstrate this. Pick your favorite result you got that you could almost emulate from a client. So what was their business? Give me a dot point.
So a deal we just exchanged on today was with a client called Joey, who's got a very profitable business. He does construction and civil works, makes 7 figures profit. And he had the capacity to service $5 million. So for him, he's somebody that's like, Dan, I could buy 2 or 3 properties now. I'm ready to go. Just find me something that we can have. He said, I don't even need to buy below market value. I'd pay market value for the right asset, or if we can buy cheap, we can buy cheap. But he's somebody that says, Dan, here's what I've got. Just go and execute for me.
Mm-hmm. How did he find you?
Referral from a mortgage broker.
From a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
So what did you have to? Was he on the hunt for a buyer's agent?
I don't know if he was on the hunt, but when brokers speak to clients, they will typically float the idea if the client is busy or hasn't purchased in a set time.
And I know I'm asking a lot of questions, but why does this broker like you?
Because I did a really good job for his previous client.
See, this is so good for people to hear because there are like 3 main people you market to at any time as a business owner. 1 is obviously your customers. 2 is staff, because you want to be able to attract the best talent to your buyer's agency. Without poaching unethically, it's like if you're showing that personal branding attracts 3 things. It attracts amazing partnerships like referral partners. It attracts elite talent and attracts trustworthy leads. They're the 3 things that personal branding does for you if you do it well. And you're marketing to 3 people at one time. So customers, staff, elite talent, and people like referral partners or investors. And don't tell me that you're not marketing to these people, because they're going, well, why choose you? Why this? What do you have to offer me on my side of the table? And that's a different set of they're different marketing assets you need for those 3 people. They want different things. A referral partner wants to go, you get quick, you get the game, you're really good to my clients, you make me look good.
Yeah.
Because they go through that mortgage broker and he has his whole Avengers squad and you're one of them, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, hey, it's not just one-dimensional.
It's not.
So back to your point, so Joey had a $5 million capacity. And he trusted his broker, and that trust went to you. See, that's really cool. So you're not just marketing the clients. Makes people think, I need to work more on, maybe less on Instagram and more into how can I have more coffees with mortgage brokers and my referral partners or look after them. Because there's only like really 3 ways you can reach people. There's one-to-one, one-to-many, and one through another. One-to-one is like us talking without the cameras on. That's the most highest, deepest form of intimacy, but it's the most unscalable vehicle. Then you got one-to-many, where we're on microphones and podcasts, on stages doing keynotes and speaking once, and heaps of people see it or hear it once. I mean, thousands of times, right? So let me say it again. So there's one-to-many, where you could post a video once, but 1,000 people hear it.
Yep.
You didn't have to say it 1,000 times. But then there's the one through another, where I give you a customer or a referrer a story or a framework, and you go, oh, wow, that's really made me better. I'm going to tell all my friends now, 100 friends that I know about that, because you told me that.
Raving fans.
So marketing is more than just... That's why real estate agents or any salespeople are selling themselves literally short by making their message all about them. It is all about making your referrer, the customer, and your future staff the goddamn hero of the story.
Because you see it all the time. It's number one, and every agent's the number one.
Yep.
Which resonates really well. So the first M we're focusing on, just to circle back, is ourselves and what we can share.
Yeah, so your own history. So even like in your one-to-ones when you're in client meetings, this is where I've seen real estate agents who've taken my training. One in Gold Coast at All Properties Group, his close rate was 72%, pretty high. And he said, by simply adding the story framework that you have, I've gone to 84%.
Wow.
I'm like, what did you do? And he simply was able to connect better. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Well, no, you got to connect through what? Through human sharing of pain, of relatability. Like tell you a quick story. My GM just bought a place in East Maitland in Newcastle, and he looked at 17 houses with his wife on a weekend. 12 of those houses had 12 shit agents. And they said unknowingly, it made me associate the shit agent with that as being a shit house. And the 5 agents left were fantastic. They connected. They tried to relate with the kids in that stage of life. And, hey, there's a cafe here and all that, being a great guy. And they were the 5 people in the 5 houses that was out of for them. Interesting. So the bar is so low, but you got to use your story and frameworks and education to be able to pull from in your back pocket and say, you're this person, you're this person. Oh, I struggle with this for years, and I've known this area for years because I was bullied on that street over there. I was actually adopted, blah, blah, blah. So that way, when they go back to have coffee with their mum and dad and they're deciding on what I should choose, who we go with, it's like, oh, we should go with that adopted blah, blah, blah guy. You're giving them something to remember you by, rather than just going selling fact sheets all the time. So we've got to go back into our own narrative. You got your business stories and you got your personal stories. And then in the messenger part, you've got to go, how can I gather stories of my own life, personal stories of what I've overcome, what I've achieved, who I met, who left me, and also my business stories. Like Joey, it's a great business story. And also the opposite to Joey's, like Lucifer or whatever, or Barney, right? And they went, good old Barney 101. He listens to his best mate at the pub for real estate advice and buys a bad thing for his portfolio. So like you've got to have heaven and hell in your message. You've got to show what heaven looks like and what hell looks like and be able to articulate that. But it's based on what you've lived and experienced. The word authority comes from the root word author in the Greek, which means power comes from what you have seen, what you have heard, what you've felt in your own life. And a lot of people aren't confident in what they have lived. They need someone to validate them. And I think I've got to take my hat off to anyone in sales or agent land, because sometimes you can get knocked back and knocked for 6 when a deal falls through, doesn't call you back, and you could be flat for a week. It can destroy you. But you've got to have, that's like people who do my stuff think it's therapy because it makes you go, I need to discover what core confidence is, not situational confidence. Situational confidence is I'm only confident when I win or in the classroom or on the field. In a social setting, I suck. Core confidence is it's inward, not external.
Question. I would love to know a bit about your backstory and where you've come from to get to this point. You're extremely knowledgeable, not just with marketing, but with sales as well. Like the way that you're articulating is very good. Now, I'll be honest with you. Daniel sent your profile to me a few times and I've watched your content, but how did you get to the point you're at now? What's your life story up until this point?
Oh, well, people who are only listening to me would think I'm a surfer dude. Like they wouldn't know that I'm an Asian man.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a Korean hardware. The Australian is software, right? Yeah. The Australian software. I confuse everyone. I don't know any Korean. You know more Korean than me, man. You're more Asian than me.
I can use chopsticks too.
When someone says cheese to the camera, I say kimchi. Yeah. So I was always a mystery to myself because ever since I was young, I looked at myself in the mirror and looked at my parents and thought, am I kidnapped? They're like, my mum and dad are completely white. And it didn't bother me at all until my parents split when I was 6. So I grew up in Newcastle and my mum moved 13, 14 times as a kid. And your parents as a child are the most powerful beings in the universe. They know everything. They're the president of the country. And when you see your mum use that power to pretty much like give that power away and cry over the kitchen table, whispering out loud, we don't have enough money when you're 6 years old, it does something to your reality. And that's what I saw. My mum is a battler and a lovely person, learnt compassion from her. But I think that instilled a lot of fear and anxiety just to not have enough. So I was severely bullied that same year. My parents separated. So I went through my own darkness from a young kid, and I thought that young about meaning and being useful, and I've got very insecure and I sought for crave validation. And that validation is a human need. It's not like, oh, he's attention seeker. It's like, no, you actually need to, it's a resource. If you've got 10 children in your family, your mum and dad's attention is limited. Its validation is limited. That's why social media is such an addictive thing, because you can get validated from not doing anything much from strangers and get it all the time. But anyways, so I guess no one thinks about identity as much as an adoptee does, in my view. So I don't feel the way I look in that sense. I don't know much about my birth parents. I don't know where my brain comes from. So in a lot of ways, I was finding my identity and wanted to find confidence my whole life. And then when I was old enough to find it through a series of discovering faith, philosophy, all that stuff focused me on the inside, not the external. That really helped me get my shit together. And it made me think about helping people rather than just helping myself. It made me do both. To be useful, you have to be useful to yourself and useful to others.
Do you think you found yourself?
Yeah, I have now.
Congrats, mate.
Thanks, man. It's only taken 30-something years. Now, I probably found myself when I was about, something happened to the male brain. It matures at 27 or something. Like your late 20s, right?
Yeah, almost at 27.
Almost at 27. Something, I accessed more RAM in my brain. It's like I could go deeper. I'm like, wow, this is sick. Like, but yeah, identity informs everything. Like we talk about everything's about values. Yeah, I agree, because if you're like-minded with someone, that means you resonate with what their number one value is. That's all being like-minded is. If someone's not like-minded, not my people, that means their number one is not yours. So everything is about order of importance. Everything's about the order of love. St. Augustine said that sin is having your love out of order. There's nothing wrong with work, money, and all that. It's just when the order is work is above family, or family is 5 and drugs are 4, or whatever it is, right? So yeah, so it went deep as a kid, which made me crave frameworks and tools and methods to be able to get me out of bad states. And I guess that's where the building blocks of clarity came from. Just trying to understand myself and to help other people at the same time. So I guess the marketing side of trying to be clear and be good with sales and all of that is just a summary of the human brain really responds well to clarity, and it rejects confusion. If you say something too complicated, it's not in your vocab. Literally, we say it goes over your head, because your brain burns 320 calories a day on thinking. So it's trying to reserve calories. So when you're saying stuff that doesn't make sense, and you're being forced to use some of that reserve to make sense of what the hell does this guy do? What this guy, is he a real estate agent, or is he that? Like, who's he?
Or is he a model?
Is he a model? Is he an OnlyFans person? What the hell is it? All of you, that's great. What is the OnlyFans thing for your account? Anyway, is it free? I'm definitely buying that. No, I'm not gay. No.
I guess in terms of where you're at now, like you're in a very different sphere to where you may have started off. What was your role and what were you doing prior to actually market yourself to this point? Because you've marketed extremely well. I want to understand how you marketed yourself to this point.
I was a muso in Newcastle before I was anything. That was my first trade. And that is where I learnt about personal branding, because you have to play the same 4 chords that every song has, and you have the same ability as everyone for the band. So you go for an audition or you try and get the gig. It's less about the ability and more about choosability, marketability, likability, reliability. There's so many other abilities than just your skill. And I realized that even the best singers I knew didn't get chosen. And I kind of found it really funny that I got better gigs than some more talented people than me. And they'd get pissed too. And it just highlighted to me that if you don't package yourself up well, then you don't exist no matter how good you are. Talent has never been friggin' enough to make it in life. We will always honor it. We'll always be in awe of a great singer, great model, great anyone. But if they're not marketed well, that means like you can't save souls in an empty church. So you've got to actually get out of your own way and invest in marketability. And that's what I found out as a musician all those years ago. And that kind of stayed with me and transferred into whatever career I wanted to go in. I honestly think if you want the girl, you want the job, you want the promotion, you want the business, you want the pitch, you have to invest in marketing yourself. It's just basic skills of articulating complicated things into simple diagrams, showing people where the value is, showing what the outcome's going to be without taking 30, 100 hours to get there. Like, be clear, not clever, not cute. Right? If you confuse, you lose. And too many people confuse people because they want to look cool. They want to look clear. They want to look clever.
And we talk about, marketing yourself. Do you have to spend much money to market yourself at the start?
No, you don't have to. But it's just like anything. It speeds up the process. The fastest way to be able to become more marketable is to pay someone who is exactly where you want to be. Because if you want to climb up Mount Everest, you don't go to someone who's ever just climbed a ladder to say, show me. Because they haven't been there and they can't show you the way. So the fastest way to get good at anything is to pay someone who's been where you want to be. Side note, I want to have a rant. Do you know how many business coaches are out there who say that they're the guru, but they haven't built a good business?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So I know a creative business owner, and I found out that they coach creative businesses like agencies like I do to 7 figures. And they had a shit agency themselves before they became a coach. And there's so many of them out there. It's like, don't listen to anyone who isn't heading or isn't where you want to be, and have a criteria of have they achieved it once or twice. Like, it's just so bad right now. So like, if you're going to pay someone money to help you, do a bit of due diligence. But that's the fastest way. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, which I did, there's nothing like... It's like being a parent, man. Like, no amount of books is going to prepare you enough. Start a service, start a product, and get feedback and be humble as shit about it. And look at fundamentals. Are you clear with your offer? Are you putting enough things out there? And most people aren't putting enough things out there in the right areas. Real estate agents, you're fantastic. You actually have all the touch points down pat. You do print, you do digital, you do billboards, you do bus stops. The only thing I haven't seen is a urinal, right? Like, maybe that's the only thing every real estate agent should be like, yeah, we're all sitting there, men are sitting there for like 30 seconds. Put your face there.
You know what's funny? It was actually advertised. A real estate agency advertised their brand in the Balcombe Hills, Stockland.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So it has been done.
It has been done. I'll actually be impressed. I'm like, oh man, I have to look at this guy for 30 seconds. Where else do I look?
Yeah.
So Matt, I want to circle back to the framework with the 3 M's.
Yeah.
Because I find that really valuable. And I also want to get your perspective on something that for me on my journey was, as you transition from apprentice to tradesman, how you market in an authentic way through that process. But then how do you also incorporate your personality so that you're not showing why you're better, you're showing why you're different? Can you share from your experience, or we can do dialogue again, following the M's, how you would help navigate somebody through that process?
Yeah, sure. So the man, the mission, and the message. You look at never faking it to make it. You face it to make it. So you face the fact that you're either an extrovert, an introvert, more likely you are more nerdy or more alpha. There's all these spectrums of generalities, but you've got to go through a process of uncovering your attributes, because how you talk about the same subject as another agent will be different because of your temperament and your attitude and your attributes. No one owns a topic. And I can do you know what? So many people get insecure about, well, what if I share all my frameworks and systems and people will copy me? People are crap at executing. If you're really good at what you do, Gordon Ramsay can give us his omelette recipe,
Yeah.
and we can create an omelette, but it ain't an omelette like his omelette.
Correct.
So everyone has to get over the fact that, I'm scared about sharing my background or my values or my frameworks. No, don't worry. They won't be able to do as good as you if you're that good. So never fake it. Look at your personality attributes. So I have a framework which through the messenger section goes through, if you were a superhero character, what would be your temperament? And then you look at your backstory from your origin right through the defining moment in your life that made you choose real estate or made you choose to go this direction. And then what made you discover the value of real estate as well. So you've got your own back pocket stories to pull out. So I think in terms of content, there's 3 categories I usually think about. One is obviously there's values. So sometimes there is something that's totally irrelevant from education, totally irrelevant from the real estate stuff. It could be you're into footy. It could be you're into gaming. Whatever that. What would that be for you?
So, for example, I went on a retreat over the weekend, and on the Monday I posted about the top 3 things I learned from my retreat, and I just shared that. The retreats for me are spiritual and meditation and things like that.
Beautiful.
I posted that content as a way to just add value to my audience that was authentic to Dan, but it wasn't necessarily a real estate.
I love that.
There's
So
been a lot more of it. And
This is why I'm really curious to get your perspective on all this. But
yeah,
with that, I could sometimes tie the spiritual, the retreat stuff into that. For me, has been my most dominant investment out of any investment I've made, whether it be property, podcast, business. This side has been the most fruitful, and I've shared that. It's coming from the buyer's agent who buys investment properties. You think I'd say buy a property, but actually that for me is the truth.
Yeah.
So
I'd say out of 3 content categories, one is values, and it has nothing to do with being a buyer's agent or a real estate agent. And one would say, how is that relevant to transaction? It's like, well, if you're going to think like that, you're never going to sell anything, because you don't just go up to go on the bar, say, marry me, and not invest in any trust. No connection at all, because people align with familiar. If people trust you, then money will go with you. And sometimes it's that, I've seen it so many times, our agencies behind so many different accounts, the posts that actually make people reach out are, who's winning in the footy this weekend? It's the ability to relate and connect. And that's where people get wrong, because they're just basically just hitting on all their customers all the time at the bar. Yeah. So that values piece, health, philosophy, retreats, and also just that's where you go to town on your life lessons and things like that. Of course, if it's just the only category that you talk about, what are you, Tony Robbins? Well, for me, it's Tony Robbins. So you're just a life coach then, right? Cameraman's lost it. But that's the whole ROI of that is alignment, connection, and trust in human aspect. And that can actually have a little bit of residue on how you have, people see you through that lens. So then you move into obviously more education stuff, but it's not just from you need to buy this property because blah, blah, blah. When you say you, it's very authoritative. When I say I believe these things are the best, I and you are this is from my own experience, take it or leave it, this is of service to you. You is this is objective and empirical data, take it or leave it, right? So I think it's got to be a mixture of what we are seeing in our agency is this on the ground floor. So we or I versus you need to do this and the government just did this, blah, blah, blah. That's more empirical. And you can have a category of particularly orbiting around the customer profile. If it's founders who have a business and a profitable businesses. This is how Joey used his profit this year, not to buy a new Lamborghini, but to buy 5 properties, right?
You know what's funny? He's like, Dan, I literally missed out on buying a Lambo last week that we bought, so we bought him a property. Like that, what you literally said is bang on. Like,
because I know the customer profile so well, right? Because when you've got that amount of money, a Lambo is and 5 properties, that's
a good reel.
It's a good reel, right? This is what they're going through. It's like, when I have access to equity, there's so many temptations, and you can list the 5 temptations for 7-figure founders who, these are 5 things you're tempted to buy instead of new properties. 1, a Lambo. 2, 2 Lambos. You can listen. What are they? Let's just make it today.
Overseas trips.
So let's do the hook. So like, what are these are the 5 temptations for every profitable founder right now. What are they?
Starting another business. That's actually not the main thing. Too much travel without, maybe, I don't know. Travel is probably a productive thing. Buying toys, Lambos.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's toys, businesses, shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object.
And things that aren't a part of the portfolio.
Or a big house, like upgrading to a house that stretches them. But the house isn't actually a good effective investment with cash flow.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I think it was... who's that big influencer of the fitness guy in Gold Coast that bought that
Adam
mansion?
Sullivan.
Yeah, I think he's having to sell that house.
He already sold it.
Yeah, he stretched himself too hard.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
See, that's the headline. I'll be making that, right? So that's in the category of the client that you want to attract. These are like the Delilahs of them. So Samson and Delilah. Delilah seduced Samson away from God's plan, right? So what are the Delilahs of your customer? Is this shiny big houses? Like, I was looking at a place in Manly, just out of curiosity. There's a property for 3 to 5 mil, right? You guys are good at maths. What's on $1 million deposit, 6%? What would be roughly the monthly repayment on that if I was to go for it?
So if $1 million at 6% would be 60.
Oh, sorry, it was 5 million. I've got a $1 million deposit. So
okay, so 4 million you're borrowing.
Yeah.
Let me just do quick maths.
See, this is what I mean. Like that Sullivan guy's gone top dollar.
Yeah.
So that's 240K a year, which is 20 grand a month.
It's a lot, right?
Interest without principal, just interest.
That's a shitload. So
that's a wage.
Yeah. So there's a lot to service there just for that one versus what you're saying. Joey bought, instead of buying a Manly home,
you could buy a dual income that cash flows really well.
So you show. So this is what I reckon agents need to do as one of their content pillars. Don't just tell me facts that I can Google. Show me the future that I'm avoiding, or show me the future that I could have. So Joey's got 5 million. He bought 5 properties, but his future could have been this. He could have bought a Manly property, but paying $20,000 interest. He could have bought a Lamborghini and a little house for this. This is like all the categories he could have bought, but he invested in this with us.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be earning this over the next 5 years.
And show the difference. Like,
don't just show me the outcome. Show me how you got there. I'm sick of seeing agents, in my view, as if I was creative director for all agents, I'd be like, sold sign. What did you do to earn that? If the market was good, everyone looks good in a good market. So what was the thing that almost took that deal out? What was one of the tough conversations you had to have with that client? What happened with the mortgage broker? And tee up the customer of your story would be really helpful for others to know that it's not that easy, or it was seamless with us, but it could have been hard. Tell I'm the story guy. Our brains just love that avoidance of the bomb detonating, and will they make it to the end? So create loops and close them in your stories, rather than just saying, sold, this person just bought 5 properties with us. Like, dig deeper, film it, have it all written out, have multiple creators for it.
Would you, as a young agent or any entrepreneur with a business, and they don't have tons of cash flow, but they've got money for marketing, would you go to a social media marketing agency to run the ads for you, or would you do it yourself?
I would say, if you're at the beginning stages of your business, sales is so important. Marketing and sales, you have to be across it. Yep. Don't pass it off to someone, because you know what? You're going to be sent reports. You have no idea. It might be written in Chinese and you can't read it. So I recommend this. If you've got enough revenue coming in to be able to put on somebody, agencies will have much more of a potential return on investment than maybe you being able to afford a weapon straight away. But have this written in your clause or your contract. You're going to train me as part of our first arrangement to show what you're doing. And you're going to teach me like an accountant. Like, tell me what this means when you don't know P&Ls. please just coach me. I'll pay you extra even just to coach me for the first 3 months. So you're not being, you know how to check the checker. And then eventually I think that the best arrangements I've seen with my agencies and big companies, you want to have someone who's the owner within your business because they know what's going on within, they know the rhythms, they know the pulses, but you have an agency support that person.
Gotcha.
So you still got someone who owns the outcome. So you still hold them accountable and they're holding them accountable. Versus just going, I don't know anything, help me agency. It's like, nah, don't do that straight away.
Yeah.
So what about for myself? So I'm using, I've got 2 social media agencies. Which
Fire them. No, I'm just joking. No, I don't know them. No.
So,
they're going to see this and be like, oh, shit.
Just a business card, mate.
So they run my social media ads for like just sold and just listed posts and whatever.
Great.
And this is from, the vendors will pay these companies to promote their properties on social media. And then I, inadvertently on the sold side, I pay them to push out a sold result. In relation to spending money and actually seeing that return, it's so true. I have no idea. I have been told by another social media guy that these companies are just glorified boosting posts. What's right? What's wrong? Like, how do you see through it if you don't have the time to actually, do what you've said? Because I don't have the time and capacity to go check these things.
Just learn some basic acronyms. What's CPM? Cost per mile, cost per click, cost per acquisition. So CAC is really important. Your CAC is what it costs to actually acquire a customer or a lead, or cost per cost per lead. If it's leads you're generating, and then that sets into another algorithm. So it's like, okay, it cost me, we put $10,000 this month behind these ads. It cost me $25 per lead. So that booked in, called. But then what percentage of those leads turn into actual appointments or clients? And then you have a close rate. And most agencies can't be straight with you to say, well, I know your cost per lead and that's it, but what's my acquisition cost? Because really sometimes it's a combination of marketing helps vet, good marketing helps qualify your clients from being tire kickers or not. Because if the leads are cheap, sometimes that ain't good, because then you're paying someone to close them and they're like, oh, these guys are never going to be ready. They're dog shit leads.
I haven't really had anyone call off a Facebook ad in a year. And if I'm spending, there's a few $1,000s every single month going out, is this off or is this brand awareness?
My God. So say that again. So you haven't had a really good lead from Facebook ad?
I haven't had, not for at least a year.
Okay, there's only a couple of things wrong here. One is it's a brand and marketing issue of the message and the creative not being clear and it's not being targeted well. Are they retargeting rather than just boosting? Oh my God, so many agencies just hit the big blue button. It doesn't retarget anyone. So we've all had a missus who gets shown some shoes and that shoe follows them around forever. God forbid that you land on my webpage because I'll be following around for days, right? So you got to ask, what is the funnel? And what is it that if I put you in front of 1 million people, what is the core message that we're reaching those people with? So it's a creative issue, it's a messaging issue, it's a targeting issue. And if you audit all those things and you rejig them and you look at the data again, something's really wrong. I'd even be looking at a platform change, because you're putting $3,000, $5,000 a month behind that and it's not getting you results. And you've checked those 3 things, creative, targeting, and the funnel, the flow. And you're not getting calls. Maybe it's the website as well. Like so here's the thing: be a customer of your own business. Do you guys know how to look up the ads of your customer? You guys know how to look up the ads of your competitors?
No. How do you do that?
Oh, you'll be able to show them, right?
The back end effect. You just look at their business account and you can look at their posts.
So if I was to show you that, those are what the ads look like.
See, like a lot of the agents are just posting, just sold, or just listed.
Like if we're just scanning things, you're forcing me to go Kellyville. Okay, this is... But what wasn't it for me? Oh, Harry's gone.
That's fine.
Hey, Harry, how are you?
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't think... This could be anybody, so it's not distinctly you. I know it's from your profile. it could be a stock image for all I know. I think we really need to work on the creative here. Like it's Kelly Bill. So what's this, for sale?
Yeah. Just come up.
Yeah, man. Like this is a creative issue. And is this being boosted at the moment?
I'll show you the package that they said that we
and
do.
guys, this is a bit of a marketing 101 course, but marketing 101 is this. Social media platforms and your followers aren't. So let me say again, marketing 101 course is this. You don't own your social media. You don't own any of the followers or fans on Instagram or TikTok and all that.
Yeah.
So you got to be thinking, when I run content from an ad, if the creative is good and it does its job, it makes people enticed to click on it. Where's it going to? This landing page, right?
No, this is just what they tell me they do.
Oh, right. Let's take this offline, but a bit, because I want to see this more. It's a very pretty document. See, a lot of people, this doesn't tell me shit really. Like, okay, I can see how you distribute things. Is this their pitch to you, or is this like is it the packaging? Okay. Every touch point, everything has to be every single touch point, every single thing needs to be talking to one another. From ad, where does it go then? So let's just add the phrase "so that." I run an ad. Sorry, let's add the word "then what." The phrase "then what." I run an ad, then what? People see it, and if they click on it, then what? They go to a form, then what? If they say no, then what? So if you keep saying then what, it will actually give you like a wireframe of what should be happening or what not. So this is a summary. Be a customer of your own business. And if you're too close to it, ask your mum. Everyone's a real estate expert in Australia. Ask someone who will be dead set honest with you and say, hey, listen, I want you to go on this and just tell me what you think. Go start to end for me. Do a call. Even go through the funnel and get a call from somebody. How long did it take for them to call you? So many people don't do mystery shopping on themselves. And I've made clients do this with Janine. Like Janine Allison, I have a business called the Business Academy. It's one of the first things we get a lot of growing businesses to do. They find broken links on their website. Yeah, like lots of things that are simple. But if you're paying ads for people to come through your digital home and you're broken shit, man. So it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things.
Would you expect, if you're spending, no matter what business, would you expect if you're spending a few $1,000s per month to get calls from the ads itself?
Mm-hmm. You definitely.
No matter what type of business?
I think so. There is like a rule of thumb that if your creative is clear and your targeting is right, you should be able to get 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 your investment. You're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So there's something definitely up there, man.
So if we're to I want to just stay on topic to the M's as well. But it's good we go off and we can come back in because we can relate it. So Kevin's found a leak in his business. So if we come back to the fundamentals of man, mission, and message.
Yeah.
Like what would be the other pillars we've not discussed yet? So we've covered man. What would the mission and the message?
I think the mission, I'll do an analogy of it. I'll do an example. My social kung fu business, the man is me, adopted, bullied, struggle with identity, all the stories there. His mission is to empower 1 million Australian kids with verbal self-defense training. And the message is words create worlds. So it's
words create worlds.
Words create worlds.
Walls or worlds?
Worlds. So words create worlds. And because it's all verbal self-defense, they get you hired, they get you fired. Words get you a date, they get you divorced. Words create peace, they create war. So it's very clear then, if I have all three, that, man, I like Matt or I don't like Matt, but it's clear on what he's trying to do, outcome-wise, and what his message is to the world. As a real estate agent or as a buyer's agent, we have different messages. Like Ray White has a different vibe to Bell, and Bell has a different thing to Rubenstein, and there's so many different, but they all sell houses. Some are like for upper class, some are for the white collar, some for blue collar, like some are for families, some are for the... So I like to think of maybe 2 to 3 people I serve, and I really dial in on those messages. So there might be 3 types of messages. There's a broad message as a company, and there's 3 specific messages for the 3 types of people I'm trying to reach. Say it's I'm a local real estate agent in Newcastle. So there's a framework I use called the, for, and who. I'm the real estate agent for first home buyers who want to get in their first Newcastle property and want to be guided along the way, right? I would workshop the shit out of that if I was the real estate agent for first home buyers, because first of all, I'll be marketing to the parents of first home buyers, not just first home buyers, because they're leaning on the influencers, the people who are more experienced. So I'll be running first home buyer courses. I'll be running like heaps of education content of what don't listen to your mate, listen to this. These are areas that are not bad. Do you need this much deposit? You can get a guarantor. Let's get all this stuff sorted. But I'm speaking specifically to the area code, Mayfield, Cardiff, Warners Bay, doing so that anyone who searches on an intent-based search engine like Google, they're going, where to buy in Newcastle? I've populated the shit out of everything saying this is what you need to look for, blah, blah, blah. I've seen accountants do this really well. I've seen so many people do this well when you dial in on a specific need. So that's a message. I like helping people who have no idea about getting in the market to know what to do. That's my thing. So people go, oh, great, that helps me go, okay, I'm going to pass. I know a guy, he helps first home buyers. It helps other people refer you.
Yep.
So we do that for all our laneways, for the founders, for others, yeah.
What about for our situation where I'm real estate Dan, I'm podcast Dan, and maybe entrepreneur Dan? I want to provide content to my audience that adds value from a business where I can make money, but also gives value from just the trust aspect. How would you kind of follow that man mission? Would you just isolate to just focusing on one, or would you play all roles? Or
no, I think it's a different framework to answer that question. It's the tree trunk of everyone needs to be trusted for at least one thing.
Okay.
So Gordon Ramsay's trusted for what?
Cooking, chef.
Yeah, but he's known for what?
Being a machine.
A machine, like entrepreneur now, like Food Stars, Hell's Kitchen. And he can talk about heaps of topics.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to what was he known for? What's that one tree trunk, that credibility? And what's that one thing he is pointing back to? Essentially, it's his name is built on hospitality. Same with Boost Juice. Same with all the people we aspire to be like or admire. They build a tree trunk. And yours is always going to be buyer's agency and houses and like wealth creation, right?
Do you think mine would be, if my podcast is bigger than the buyer's agency, would I still be the buyer's agent?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Because the tree trunk has branches.
Yeah.
So I'm like Gordon Ramsay. I'm a Michelin star chef. That's enough. I can get a job anywhere.
Yeah.
But then now I've built such trust and I've got so much stories. I'm able to articulate myself so well. I can talk about podcast. I can start a show. It's like, who's this guy to be able to talk to me? Oh, he's a buyer's agent. Oh, cool. Okay. I would say on these podcasts too, you are self-interested in the sense that, listen, if everyone wants a good future, everyone wants to be able to, at this rate, we're 200,000 short of retirement savings. So you need to be thinking now about your future. And if you want, the best vehicle for that is, and I'm promoting this whole thing, is real estate in Australia. But people make the wrong mistake in choosing blah, blah, blah. So make sure you have like some type of thing in your podcast where you invite people into your business. Like, don't wait for you probably already do this, guys, but like, don't wait for a sponsor to say, oh yeah, today's sponsor is blah, blah. Be upfront with this podcast. Be like, if you're looking to get into a home, and you're looking to build your wealth, the scary stat is people are going to retire really poor. So now is the time we're helping heaps of people, business owners in particular, get ahead so they can help their mum get in a house. They can get their sister in a house. So give us a call for a free discovery call today. And it gets into the podcast. So at least it's known that if they like you on the podcast, And podcasts are great leverage because you're bringing guests on the show that have like you're Eminem and I'm Rhiannon or something, and you're tapping into my audience, and that's how they discover each other. You need to be much more clear on. So don't be afraid of, I'm wearing this hat today and this hat today.
Man, this has been really insightful. The education piece. I'd love to just go to the value side.
Yeah.
From my own experience, I had a similar, I guess not similar in the sense of I adopted, but my dad died when I was 7, and as a result, I saw mum battling the finances. And like yourself, you get put into a state of fight or flight for many years. And for us, we're a manifestation of our environment. We became who we are out of necessity. When was the moment for you when you got out of fight or flight and you could just be Matt?
When I was in year 7, my mum couldn't afford to send me to school camp. So I begged her, can I mow the lawn? Can I do something? She's like, I can't pay you. I'm like, oh, that's right, yeah. So I stood up. I remember I was up all night trying to think of everything a 13-year-old kid could think of. Get a job. Nah, too slow. I need it by next week. And then I went to school the next day and thought, there's one person who can make this dream happen. It's the principal. So I demanded a chat to the principal. And I was 13 and I walked into the principal's office and they're like, what do you want, Matt? I said, I want to go to year 7 camp. Can't afford to. Can I get a payment plan? And they're like, what? I'm like, I'll wash the toilets. I'll work for it. And he's like, I'm going to call your mum. So he called my mum. And my mum was all embarrassed. But then brought us in for a meeting and said, that's a good idea, Matt. If you want to earn your way to camp, we support that. And I'm glad you let us know. So that's when I realized that you don't just, there's always a way. That gave me control. It gave me the confidence that even if we have zero money in the bank, you can work for it, you can borrow it, you could steal it if you want. But yeah, that's when my entrepreneurial muscle kicked in. It's just literally when your back's against the wall, you've got a Swiss Army knife of options you can pull out. Yeah, so I think I was never the same apart from that. I was really proud of myself. I was like, no one came to save me in that moment. So yeah, how many times do business owners go through that? It's like you've got a BAS bill that's come up or someone leaves you, like your top employee leaves you and gives notice. You're like, what am I going to do? You've got through it. You definitely got through it. That's why we're here today. So it's resourcefulness, I think. Because we both didn't come from resources. We had to become resourceful. So every curse is a blessing, and a blessing is a curse sometimes. A blessing could be you'd be born into money, but the curse is you don't know how you got it.
Yep.
And the curse of not having money is the benefit is you have to be resourceful. Peter Parker is no different. Peter Parker, no one confuses Peter Parker and Batman as the same superhero. Batman came from resources. Peter Parker came from resourcefulness. And we're Peter Parker.
Do you feel like you're at a stage, because I know for me there was a transition where I'm no longer needing to be resourceful. I can just be Dan, and being Dan produces resources. Have you had a similar experience on your journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have multiple personalities, a lot of us. Like we can be reflective or romantic or fun or whatever. And sometimes we play the character, put the costume on that we feel like rewards us the most, or we're held to by our family and friends and all that stuff. Kind of keeps the lights on. I reckon I found my true identity when I was like late 20s, around your age. You start to... You've had a few people betray you. You've had maybe a few broken hearts. Nothing teaches you more than empty wallets and broken hearts and failures. Empty wallets teaches you how to hustle. Broken hearts humbles you, and failures humbles you, and then you learn to adapt and you become stronger. And I think that breaks the need to be approved by people that don't deserve it. We treat our own houses better than we treat ourselves. We have locks on our doors and our windows. And if a stranger knocked on our door and said, can I come in? You say, no, you haven't earned the right to come in. But so often we allow strangers on the internet or people who have no goddamn right to be able to come into your mental health house and tell you who you should be. You're like, well, piss off, mate. I don't know who the hell you are. Get out. And you have the power to do that. So it wasn't until I was 27, I reckon, that I really became a man. And that way of standing up to parents even, or to people that you thought, I'd never, ever do that. Not to be an arsehole, but for protection and for value. So that's a bit deep. But yeah, that's. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like for yourself, 27 was that age where you could really start being, Matt, the person that wore the cape, but also Matt, the true self as well.
Yeah.
You have a very intriguing philosophy and mindset. My last question for you: what's the best book you've read?
The Bible. Yeah.
Do you think what if you're not religious? For myself, I'm not religious. Do you think it's still something that?
Yeah. The Bible. I'm not Bible bashing anyone, but that book's changed my life. It's outlasted kings, kingdoms, countries. War's been over it. Peace has been from it. Hospitals have been built from it. People say they've been judged by it and all that. So it's such a pivotal thing that if you read Proverbs, that's like reading Stoicism. If you read just the red letters of Jesus, he didn't judge people in the way that you thought. He didn't judge people from being different. He judged assholes more than anyone. He stood up for the prostitute. He actually hung with all the pimps and all that because he came to help people that were at the top of the ladder in success and at the bottom struggling. So in my view, Jesus is awesome. I reckon if people wanted to be like Jesus, he's the best. So it helps me be a better worker. I turned to spirituality when I couldn't see it modeled in my own life, because it's an inner job where I've got an internal reference of maybe they passed away. You could read Stoicism with Marcus Aurelius. You can read, and I'd encourage you to, well read, Buddhism, all that stuff. But the main book has really made a lot of sense to me is human value. The 10 Commandments is pretty much like this idea Immanuel Kant came up with as a philosopher. He said this thing, right? Immanuel Kant said this, a great philosopher. Whatever you want to do, make it a universal law. That's what makes something right or wrong. So if you want to cheat a little bit, make that a universal law. Everyone's allowed to cheat a little bit. So if we all loved our neighbour, if we all loved our mum and dad, if we all didn't commit adultery, if we all didn't steal, what will the world look like? So it's kind of it's what governments look at. It's like general principles to say if we all abided by the speed limit and we didn't take each other's crap and we didn't kill each other, the world would be pretty safe. So in my view, the parables are great, the proverbs are great, and it relates to all times and cultures. It's very controversial, but I don't give a crap at my stage of life. It helps me. It's helped a lot of successful business people I know that probably too scared to say it.
No, that's awesome.
And apart from that, business books, I think the E-Myth is always a classic. Looks at technician, manager, and entrepreneur. Like you kind of go through the ranks. And Tony Robbins' book, Money, is a really good book for concepts on finance and stuff. Barefoot Investor was great for personal finance. Yeah.
It's so interesting you said Bible though. I love it. No, I actually really like that.
Yeah, I love Jesus is the man. I seriously think
I wasn't expecting that.
Him and Socrates are like brothers. They both died for not really committing crimes. They died because they pissed proud people off. They killed them. Just questioned too much. Reminds me of a young kid. I questioned people way too much. Poor school teachers. I'll be like, in maths, Miss, why are we changing the numbers into letters? Like, oh, and I'd always be good or bad based on this one question. How is this relevant for me getting better in life? Do you use algebra, Miss? No. Then why the hell am I doing algebra? That's what I've always thought that way. That's why I failed school.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Wow. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mate, my last question for yourself is, I'll let you choose which one it will be. Either what's your best piece of advice for somebody in their 20s, professionally, personally, Or what has been your most proudest achievement?
No, let's try and do both quickly. But what's the first question about 20s?
Your best piece of advice, either professionally or personally?
Best piece of advice in your 20s is don't be a dick to people. You might think you're absolute indestructible dude because you're a couple of years out of school. No, seriously, I think if you can invest your time and money into learning from somebody who is where you want to be in 3 areas. They've got the head, heart, and hands that you want for your life.
Head, heart, and hands.
Yeah, hands is like the results and the skill. Find someone who you think is, man, they're impressive, and work alongside them. Intern, take a crapper wage if you can, because that's going to shortcut you from being next to that person modeling, because that's how we train. You basically watch and they give you feedback and they role play and then you get better. That's simply training. So hands. Head is find someone who can solve problems better than anyone you've ever encountered in life. So usually they're older men and older women. And I know it sounds very unconventional to go visit your nana or your uncles. Even if it's those people, consider quarterly, monthly, just asking them questions, ringing them when you're in situations. Don't be a tosser and think you can do it all by yourself. You can't even see your own goddamn face without a mirror. You can't see your own reflection. So you need people who have your best interests at heart to say, you're an idiot. You need to fix yourself. Or what would you do in this, sir? And heart is your character and your values. So I've met people with good heart, good hands and head, but they're assholes. They're tool bags. I wouldn't want to be them at all, because I had a coffee with a billionaire once. I can't say their name, but it was a very successful business person, very well known. And I got to ask them, what am I doing to set myself up for my future? That was $1 billion coffee. And the person said to me, do you want to be a billionaire or a millionaire? And I said, I don't know, what's the difference? And they said, if you want to be a billionaire, you have to be divorced. I'm like, what? So yeah, that's what it takes. I've had 4 marriages, and it's all or nothing. If you want to get a business to $1 billion in 4 years, you have no time for commitment. I'm like, okay, that's very logical and mathematical. I'll get it. Millionaire's fine. So that's what I mean by heart, by values. So no, you can be skilled. And Warren Buffett, and I'll close with this one. Warren Buffett said you want intelligence and talent and integrity, but you need integrity, or you have an intelligent, talented jackass who could destroy your business. The fastest way to change your life is to change your group. You cannot help to adapt to the group you're in. If everyone is looking to grow and invest in property and you hang around that group, you're going to be really interested in property. Like-mindedness is simply being aligned with what number one value is in your life right now. If it's business, everyone else has to take a back seat for a season. If it's property, then if you're hanging around people on the weekend and they're not talking about property or investing in that, then you're not going to want to hang with them.
Yep.
So what is your number one priority?
What is your number one value?
My number one value at the moment is, I try not to say something cliche.
Just what's the first thing that comes to mind? If you had to say something.
My number one value is being purpose-driven. So purpose-driven. So I'm not for money. It's got to be through the lens of purpose-driven. So what my number one value at the moment is, what's my purpose? My purpose is to help my family and help people. So it's family first in my circle, then it's my community. So if I will not bother helping my community in a big way unless my family is good at home. My mum, my sister, all those people. So look after self, look after family, look after then community. That's my purpose, is to be as useful as possible with what I've got. It's not, my number one priority is not to be liked. My number one priority is not to be rich. My number one priority isn't to be better than everyone else. It's subjective. So there's objective success and subjective success. Objective success is it can be measured. You've sold a business, you're worth X amount net worth. subjective success is this is enough for me. I don't need that much. You need both.
Matt, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That was awesome.
Could listen all day, to be honest.
Yeah,
So could
those
I.
boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of information across varied topics. Mate, one quick question I have to ask. I just have to
go.
Yeah,
quick.
Piece of advice, like coming back to the question around the advice for the 20-year-old. What about the advice for the person that was going through what you were going through with no money, the weight of no money over your head, big
The
debt?
advice to them.
Yeah,
Advice to someone with no money.
like big debt over their head.
Yeah, okay. Big debt?
Big debt over their head, like they owe a lot of money.
Okay. So ask me the question again and I'll answer, right?
Yeah. So let's say, for example, people that have bought right recently in the past few years, the interest rates have jumped. They've now got no cash. They've sold off all their toys and now they're under financial stress because financial stress, as you guys would know, is one of the worst things.
Yeah, let's answer this question together. What would you reckon, Dan? What's your advice to that? Because people
Success is an internal job. I agree. Number one. Number two, we need to control the controllables. Number three, we need to reach out, be resourceful. There's 36 ways. I learned this on the weekend through my shaman. There's 36 ways to solve a problem. Like there's 36 balls in the Powerball when you win the lotto. There's 36 solutions to a problem. So I would sit down and first assess myself. Number one. Number two, control the controllables. What are the next logical steps I can do whilst being resourceful to get me out of this situation? And from my experience, like if you've got an investment property, but you're under financial stress, sell the property. Like if you've got other toys or cars, sell that to get your money in check. So it would be to humble yourself when you need to. Like take a step back to go 2 steps forward. That would be my answer.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to go quiet for a year.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing that I've seen my Northern Beaches friends take is that hit to the ego and image. So we call them rich poor people. So many rich poor people out there. So they have a good income, but 60% of it is on rent or mortgage. And they've got nothing left, but they're not willing to go, Dan, I can't sell the BMW. Do you know the neighbours will think really crap of me? That's the whole opposite to control the uncontrollable. So, okay, hold it and die and go bankrupt. Never be lent money again. So you have to die to image and think about who really matters in your world that doesn't really matter to them. If they're going to judge you based on superficial things, then really you got to do those questions and audits. But your image and also like advice and counsel. So like you really got to roadmap this thing out. Can we get through it? And the worst case scenario too is, what is the worst case scenario? Stoicism says, okay, worst case scenario is this. I sell everything. I'm still not able to pay the debt. Well, I move back to my parents' house. Will they have me? Yeah. Okay, great. Can I still keep my job? Yeah. So that way, how much income am I going to save therefore by moving back home? Can I get on a payment plan with this thing? Yeah, it will free up thousands of dollars by that. And if I move back home, how embarrassing will that be? No. Free meals, free laundry. I still got a roof over my head and loving support. It's not so bad. Or even bankruptcy. You're still alive and you have to wait. You've got a blacklist next to your name, but what is it, 4 years or something?
6 years.
6 years. So it's not completely you're in jail. Yeah. So I know it's a hard comment. You got to have a really situation and have a look at it. But what would you say to them, man?
I've gone through it twice recently again. Got over it again.
Good on you, man.
I stared down the barrel of bankruptcy twice now. And
wow, good on you.
I think it was more so letting go of my ego more than anything. First time around, I sold my BMW, bought a TSI. This time I just stopped going out, like stopped going to the dinners, stopped doing this, stopped doing that, and like literally just, as you know, the past like whatever long I've just been working, going home. So thank God I'm out of that situation now.
Good on you.
But I just know that, for example, there's people that I know that I talk to that are going through the same thing now. So I was just curious around how you'd handle. Thank God it's not me now.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And if anyone hears that and goes, "Oh, you're in that situation," they should chat to you. Because that takes a lot of guts to do that. Because a lot of blokes particularly don't get rewarded for vulnerability. They get oh, come on, you pussy, get out there, blah, blah. That's just not. But yeah, I like that, man. Good on you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
But a couple of the cliches is the struggle's the gift, and you never dealt a card you can't play, you can't handle.
That's true.
I'm so sorry for taking over. I had to.
Matt Purcell, that was a phenomenal podcast. I think for me, the biggest takeaway that I value with you is your ability to be authentically Matt while still creating success. So I want to
100%.
honour you for that and say thank you for being you, man. And it's well received from all of us.
No, thanks for having us, boys. It's been fun.
Yep.